Hello everyone, it's Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Thank you for joining me on my channel today. And yes, I've got all of my pink inks out. It is time to swatch all of the pink inks that I currently own. Let's get started. So I will be swatching in my Hobonichi A5 notebook with 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. I'll also be swatching with my Speedball B nib. This is the size 0, and my Kakimori stainless steel nib. And these are on my River City Penco nib holders. The first ink I'll be swatching is from Anderillium, and it is Pompadour Cotinga Burgundy. Now, yes, it does say Burgundy in the name, but it's actually, once I swatch it, it looks very pink. But then again, it really depends what it's going to look like compared to all of these other swatches. Like the water looks pink already. And you're probably wondering, why do you feel the need to swatch all of your inks? Because I love doing it. Pompadour, whoop, Cotinga, Burgundy. I love swatching inks. There's something about the process that really calms me down. And then there's just something to be said about categorizing and seeing all the inks in one color family on a page. So look at, yes, it does look a little bit more magenta and it's a darker pink, but I really like it. So that's Anderillium Pompadour Cotinga Burgundy. Next, we have a much brighter pink. This is Anderillium Roseate Spoonbill Pink. So this one is definitely more of a kind of hit you in the face. And I don't mean it like that, but I mean, it's a much more obvious pink. And this is one that I actually haven't used in a pen in a while. I've used this more for painting. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I want to kind of do an inventory of all that I have, because I am tempted to de-stash a lot of what I have currently. I just get in those moods where if I'm not using something, I want to de-stash. Roseate Spoonbill Pink. Does anyone else get into those moods? But yeah, that's a bright pink that I don't, and I wouldn't normally reach for this bright pink, but it's nice to have for paintings. It's a fun one to paint with. So that is Anderillium Roseate Spoonbill Pink. I'm also going to comment about the fact that you can already tell that because of the format of this page, I have less pink inks than I do purple, which is crazy. I didn't know that I liked purple that much, but I'll link my purple video up here, but I have more purple inks. I even have more blue inks, but maybe because it was at the time that I had a lot of blue samples. But anyway, next ink is Colorverse Brunch Date. And this goes along with my dusty pink inks that I love. But again, because of all the samples that I've received recently, I haven't had a chance to get some use out of my bottled inks, and I really need to get back into them. Now this one definitely looks more coral than pink, but I love that. I love this shade, and I also love the way it writes. Do I need multiples of this particular colorway? Probably not. But when did that ever stop us, right? It is lovely. Oh, gorgeous. Colorverse Brunch Date, one of a few dusty corally pinks. The next one is Diamine Masquerade. This was from the Inkvent calendar of 2023, and I love how many people reached out and said, Karina, this is a Karina ink. And I love that so many people know my taste in inks, that when an ink comes out like this, they're like, this is a Karina ink. Now it definitely looks more brown in that swatch, and that's because of all the shimmer that's in it. But once it dries, ooh, so lovely. So, ooh, Diamine. Masquerade. And yes, I did buy a full bottle of this because it's there's dust on there, Karina shade. Look at that. Gorgeous. Now, you can already see the differences in these. For the Pompadour Burgundy is looking more purple. The Roseate Spoonbill Pink is probably the one that looks like the most true pink, whereas Brunch Date looks a bit more coral and Diamine Masquerade looks a little bit more brown. But let's wait for these to dry. The next from Diamine is Diamine Party Time. And I realized I don't actually have a lot of pink Diamine inks, but I think I'm also getting to the point in my, I say, fountain pen or fountain pen ink journey where I know what I like, especially with pinks, that I don't feel the need to explore anymore. I don't know. But I mean, I love exploring inks. So being able to try different ones is always so fun. I think Party Time was part of the Inkvent calendar for 2023 as well, or 2022. But it is definitely a fun one. And I guess that's one of the things about doing these inventories as well, is I got to wonder, you know, I still have these samples in my collection. What do I do with these samples? Do I just ink them up, put them in a pen again and finish them off? Or do I pass them on? Or do I just hoard them? I don't know. But that's the whole purpose of this, is I really want to see what I have in my collection and what it is that I should put in a pen, what I'm okay or willing to let go of, things like that. But Diamine Party Time, definitely a fun one. The next pink is unfortunately a limited edition and no longer available. It's Ferris Wheel Press Lady Rose in Gold. I actually received a bottle of this from somebody local to me, and then I gave away a whole bunch of samples of it, and now this is all that I have left. I still have the bottle. The bottle is beautiful, but it's empty. So this is all that I have left of this ink. And it's one that I haven't put in a pen because it's also one that I'm hoarding. And I hate that I do that. I really don't want to hoard inks. I want to be able to use what I've got. So this is Ferris Wheel Press Lady Rose in Gold. But also I think plenty of you will agree with me that we really don't like it when inks become, limited edition and then they're no longer available. Like, it's a beautiful ink and I really should use it in a pen, and then once I've used it, be happy that I once had it in my life. I don't know. I mean, there's enough there for probably a couple of months worth of fills, right? Right. I should use it. So Ferris Wheel Press Lady Rose in Gold. Next, we have Herbin Rouge d'Encre, which is another one of those dusty pinks that I really, truly love. Now, let's go ahead and... what I love about this one is that it is readily available. It's one of Herbin's... oh, crap. Got a little bit of Party Time in there, but you'll get the idea. Hold on. Let's see if I can remove some of that with a paintbrush so that it doesn't get too bad. Okay, that's not too bad. Yeah, be able to remove that with a dry paintbrush. But I think this is one of those inks that, one of the first dusty pink inks that I really fell in love with. So this is Herbin. A lot of people find this dry, but I actually find this works really well. Rouge d'Encre means rusty inker. And I try to work on my French pronunciation because, being in Canada, well, in the school that I went to anyway, we started studying French in the 4th grade. And I took it all the way up until 10th grade. And I wish I had kept on with it, which is why now my kids are in French immersion. My daughter can speak it pretty well. I can't get this back on, but my son, not as much. But I love that they have the option to be able to speak French if they want to, whereas it's definitely a lot more difficult for me. So that is Herbin, Roy d'encre. The next one is another one in my pink, dusty pink inks. It's Laban, Aphrodite. And the Laban inks are actually a really good quality ink. They don't have, the range that, for example, Sailor do, but what they do have is really lovely. Like this Aphrodite, it looks like a darker, slightly darker of Roy d'encre. And it's a massive bottle. Laban, Aphrodite. And when you are writing with it, it definitely looks like it's a darker, dusty pink. Especially within a fine or an extra fine nib. It's definitely a darker one, but I really love that tone of pink. Not much the highlighter pink, but definitely the dusty pink. So Laban, Aphrodite. The next ink is Sailor Shikiori Kitsune Biori. Now this one is one that you're going to be like, is it brown? Is it pink? I don't know. And there's not very much of this bottle left. And I actually purchased another bottle because I love this ink so much. But it's not that I've used it. It's also because I've given out so many as samples to friends. Oops. But yeah, when it goes down on this paper, it looks brown. But when I put it with the brown inks, it looks pink. So you never know. And that's what I love about it, is because it could be either. So this is Sailor. Is it Shikiori or Sakura? I never know. I think it's Shikiori. So Sailor Shikiori Yozakura. I know some of you are going to come at me and be like, that's not pink. Yeah, I know. Sorry. But it's gorgeous. Once it dries down a little bit, it definitely has more of a pinkish tone to it. So that is Sailor Shikiori Yozakura. No, that is wrong. It's Kitsune Biori. Oh my gosh. Let's fix this. Why did I say Sailor Urameku? Oh my goodness. Let's fix this. How am I going to fix this? Sailor Urameku. And we're just going to do this. Kitsune Biori. Oh boy. I know many of you were yelling at me going, no, that's the wrong ink. Yeah, I got it. Thank you. I heard you. Oh, Kitsune Biori. What is wrong with me? But yes, beautiful ink. Glad I caught that. And I know it's so funny when I see in the comments that you're like, I was yelling, and you didn't hear me. I do that too when I watch YouTube videos, so don't worry. Yes, now the proper name, Urameku Kitsune Biori. Wait for that to dry. It does show up more pink, I promise. The next one in the Sailor line is Sailor Ink Studio 273. Now, it looks yellow on the label, but when I actually swatch this, like even the way that it looks on the bottle looks pink. See, it doesn't look as yellow. It looks more pink when you swatch it, but also when you write with it, it does look more pink than what the bottle says. So this is Sailor Ink Studio 273. Yes, I got this one right. Ah, the joys of making YouTube videos. I'm going to include that mistake in this video because, well, why not? I don't want to have to start this all over again. But it also shows I'm human. And it's something that we can laugh about. So there we go. I love that the label is yellow, but then the pink ink that shows through, it doesn't look anything like it. So Sailor Ink Studio 273. The last in the Sailor line is Sailor Shikiori Yozakura. Here we go. This was the one that I mixed up the previous one with. And this was one of the, was this one of the first bottles that I got. And this one definitely looks more purple than pink. But it's beautiful. This is all that I have left of the original bottle. Oops, Sailor. Shikiori. This one is Yozakura. Oh my goodness. What is the matter with me? There we go. This one definitely looks more purple than pink, but still beautiful. Gosh, look at the range that I already have on my paper. I can't wait to show you all these once they've dried. So that is Sailor Shikiori Yozakura, and I promise that actually is Yozakura. That's not Kitsune Biore. The next ink is Taccia Ume Murasaki. And yes, the name Murasaki is purple, but this could be very similar to that Anderillium Pompadour Katinga Burgundy, where it could be in either. It could be in either. And like, even when I put that down, that looks more brown, pink than the purple, but I really love this ink. So this is, let's get the hair out of there. Taccia, it's very wet. Ume Murasaki. This ink is definitely good in a fine or an extra fine or even a needlepoint nib. Look at that. Gorgeous. Definitely looks darker compared to all the other ones and more brown than the other ones. But I always like to include this in the pinks because one of the reasons that I purchased it was because of that pinky shade. So this is Taccia Ume Murasaki. And I know a couple of people also ask, like, what do you do with inks that would fit in both categories? And I would swatch them in both, especially in my color family binder. I would swatch them in both categories. Oh, sorry, I keep shaking the camera. That way I can compare them to others within the same color family and know exactly what I have. All right, so let's move on. The next ink is one of my favorites. It's Teranishi Opera Rose, and this one was, gosh, there's a little over half the bottle here. This one was inspired by or motivated by, completely influenced by Leanne Likes. And this is definitely more coral orange than pink, but I really like it in this pink category. Teranishi Opera Rose. But also when I'm using it in my fines and extra fines, it definitely does look more pink in the writing sample than it would in the swatch. Beautiful. One of my favorites. It's just a beautiful tone of coral, orangey pink. Can't beat that. So, Teranishi Opera Rose. Next, we have one of the newer ones here, which I'm actually using in a pen right now. It's Van Diemen's Feline Kitten Paws. And this was one that looks more brown, but then when it dries, it's pink. It's gorgeous. I love the transformation of pinks, or the transformation of inks from wet to dry, because sometimes it's just a complete surprise. So Van Diemen's, I have this currently inked in my Pilot Kakuno Kitten Paws. Oh, I love that it's transforming already. As you can see it drying there. It's already turning that little bit more pink. It goes down kind of this brown beige, but then dries to a really cute, soft pink. So that is Van Diemen's Kitten Paws. Next, I have Wearingeul 12th Night. Again, a newer addition to the pink inks here. Sample sent to me by pen friend Roxy. And I've been wanting to try this one for a while. This was one that I never really wanted to buy a full bottle of. I wanted to try a sample first, and it's stunning in the ink swatch, but already proving a little bit problematic in an extra fine nib. Wearingeul 12th night. It's a beautiful ink, but I think one that benefits from a broader ink or broader pen nib, because I'm using it in an extra fine nib right now, and it's still lovely, but I feel like it takes a little bit more effort or pressure, even though we shouldn't be pushing down on our nibs, but it feels like it takes a little bit more for the ink to come out of this extra fine nib, but I'll keep working with it. So that is Wearingeul 12th Night. And last but not least, we have Wearingeul Purgatorio. This ink was sent to me by Wearingeul, and I love it. I kept saying, there were people who tagged me in this post and they're like, this is a Karina ink. And I'm like, I do not need another dusty pink, but just look at that. And actually, now that I see it in comparison to all the pinks that I currently have, this is definitely different. And I'm very glad that I did receive this. So Purgatorio. And it is legible. Ooh, those are my figure eights. Writes well. And when it dries, it's really stunning. Some people might find that too light, but I actually think it works well for me. So that is Wearingeul Purgatorio. So there are all of the pink inks, and wow, the range is amazing to me. Like the one that really stands out as the most, let's say, what is the word I'm trying to say? The most stereotypical pink is that Anderillium roseate spoonbill pink. And it's not even one that I use very often. The ones that the ones I'm drawn to more are ones like Diamine Masquerade or Laban Aphrodite. I really love Taccia Ume Murasaki. I really love Kitsune Biori. And yes, it does look more brown, but if you put that with the browns, it looks more pink. You can't win. Van Diemen's Kitten Paws, look at how that's dried. It went from that yellow, beigey brown to this beautiful, beautiful pink. Wearingeul Purgatorio, again, another lovely color. Yozakura or Sailor Shikiri Yozakura definitely looks more purple than pink here, and then Colorverse Brunch Date definitely looks more orange coral than pink. But it's so interesting to me to be able to put all of these together on one sheet and see what I actually own. And I thought that my dusty pinks would look a lot more similar than they do, but there is a reason that I bought bottles of these, because they do look different. Even in the writing sample, Roy d'Ancre is lighter and more pink than Brunch Date, and Laban Aphrodite is definitely darker, leaning more towards a bit of that burgundy than Roy d'Ancre. And then Teranishi Opera Rose is a little bit more of that, I want to say, coral. It's definitely different than the other three. And then Sailor Ink Studio 273, I feel like is very similar to Van Diemen's Kitten Paws in the way that it goes from that yellowy color to the pink. So both very, very similar. And then Taccia Ume Murasaki, I thought was very similar to Pompadour Cotinga Burgundy, but this one is more, I want to say, there's more red or more pink in that versus here. This is slightly cooler. And then Ferris Wheel Press Lady Rose in Gold. I wanted to find something similar to it, but Diamine Masquerade, in terms of its shimmer, is very similar, but there's definitely more of that darker purpley pink in the base color than there is in Ferris Wheel Press Lady Rose in Gold. And then Wearingeul 12th Night, that shimmer is outstanding, but it almost makes it slightly illegible. So that's probably not an ink that I'm going to purchase a bottle of, but everything else, I'm really happy with what I have in my pink collection to date. And it's really funny to me that I have less pink inks than I do blue or purple when I did the original ink explorations for those colors. Now I'm excited to see how many browns I have in my collection. All right, but that is it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, and I'm going to very tentatively say, if you have any pink recommendations, please leave them in the comments below. I shouldn't ask for pink recommendations, but I'm going to anyway. And then we'll see where we go from there. All right, don't forget to hit that like button and to subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and have yourselves a great day.